Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome back to the War Room in Prince George, British Columbia. That's right, I'm back from my trip to Alberta. Had a great time, got to see my dad, got to visit the cat house and play some games with Rank Carcass and his crew. Had a great time. So I got a bunch of things I want to talk to you about today, but before I do, I just want to send a shout out to all my friends down in Los Angeles right now, taking part in Sire's bloodbath. I know I'm not there and I wish I was there, but I can tell you I'm thinking about those guys today. I was thinking about them last night and thinking about them this morning, and I keep checking every couple minutes to see if somebody put a video up, but of course it's a little early for that. I would expect maybe tonight somebody might have a video or two of that. So I want to wish you all good luck, because I know competition is going to be strong there. There's a lot of good players there, and there's a lot of good people there, and so I wish you good luck. I hope you have better luck than Sire Blood had trying to conquer Paris in a hotel room in Niagara Falls. Let's just leave it at that, okay? I hope you have a good time too this weekend, Sire Blood. I know you put in a lot of work, and I think it's just going to be a great event. So anyway, let's get to what I wanted to talk to you about here. So I've been really busy the last couple of weeks. When I went to Rank Carcass's place, it was interesting. Like, I hadn't been to another person's house who has the Global War game. And Global War is such a subjective game. It's not like Axis and Allies where you just take it all out of the box and there it is. Everybody's box looks the same and all the pieces look the same. But in Global War, everybody built a different game, and so that gives you lots of great ideas. I know I could see the wheels in his brain were spinning when he was at my house, and I seen a couple of things that he did when I went there, you know, like he took some ideas from me. But anyway, I took some ideas from him too, some things that I thought were great ideas. One of them was painting the units, but not painting them all, like I've seen in his videos, where I've seen the units where they were color coded, for lack of a better way to put it. Here, let me just show you what I mean. Like, look at those fighters in there. Fighters and tactical bombers. Like, my fighters here got blue wingtips, and the tactical bombers got yellow ones. His fighters have red ones. Now, I thought, you know, when I seen his video, I thought, oh, that would be a bit helpful, you know, but when I was there, I didn't realize just how helpful it was going to be. Like, instant recognition. Like, I'm standing here, and it's hard to see on a video, but I look across the board, way over in Europe over there, I can tell what's on Great Britain. I can see a yellow one there, so that's a tactical bomber. I can see a couple blue ones, so those are fighters. I could see a black one, so that's a strategic bomber. So what I did was the same thing that he did. I painted my planes, the wingtips, and I painted my ships, because in this game it's so much bigger than Global 40 that there's just so many more different piece types. And of course, you can recognize your own game. Like, I know exactly what every piece is, because I remember buying every piece, and I remember stewing over and deciding, okay, this is the piece that I'm going to use for this, right? But anybody else that comes here to play, like, it's a learning curve trying to figure it out. And then, you know, if they've never played this game before, well, what does this thing do? Or, you know, is this a cruiser, or is this... It's just so much easier when, you know, the yellow ones are the cruisers, you know, like, you can figure it out, right? It's a lot easier. But what I didn't consider too, like, it's easier to see on the board. And like, here's another example. Like, you look at this this card down here. Now, before, this just looked like one just big green mass of jumbo. Like, you had to get right up to it. Even when you hear it, not just on a camera, but even when you hear it, you had to get right up to it to see what's in there. But for me, it's easy to see. There's a couple white ones, those are transports. A couple of yellow ones, those are cruisers. There's 3 blue ones. You know, like, everything's just color coded. The only thing I didn't color code was the carriers, because they're obvious, right? And the submarines, because they're also obvious. Like, I did color the super subs. So I do have more different types than he does. Like, I've got more sculpts than he does. So I do have a few more colors. Like here, the red ones here, that is technological advances. So this would be a heavy bomber, right? And then we've got jet fighters. See what he's using for now, and I'm sure by, you know, like, it takes a while to build your game, right? I'm sure at some point he'll have something like this too. He does have some pieces, but it just takes a while, like I said. And so he just uses colored chips under him, right? But I needed more colors because I don't want to put a colored chip under one bomber. I'd rather just paint the wingtip some different color, right? So those, but yeah, when you look in the boxes here, it's so much faster trying to find pieces. That's what I didn't consider until I got to his place. I just, you know, and his trays were unfamiliar to me. I could just look and right away I knew where the fighters were. Right away I knew where the destroyers were. You know what I mean? It was just instant recognition. So it helps speed the game along to know, right? Like I look here, blue fighters, yellow tactical bombers, and then I've got green. That's for my medium bombers and for my light cruisers. So there's green there. I tried to get a color of green that didn't match the American color of green. There's my light cruisers, right? Because, I mean, who knows what a light cruiser looks like? It's not in Axis and Allies. Most people are used to playing Axis and Allies, right? So then also, you know, like I got my subs, but then I've got my super subs. Again, red, that means a technological advance, or a heavy one. Like I've got some heavy battleships there, I'll show you, right? And white would be transports. So that's a transport, naval transport. And then we got whites down here. Like, it would take me forever to find these transports down here. These transport planes. I can't seem to get my fat fingers in there. There we go. So there's a white plane there. That means that's a transport plane, right? So it's so much easier. Black would be strategic bombers. And red would be heavy bombers, right? So it's just so much easier in each box finding out. And I don't think that I'll do the land units, but anyway, I left all the boxes out just so I could show you just how quick it is. Like you're looking at, and you can see the colors and everything. It was a while before, you know, like when you're looking, okay, what am I looking for? Oh yeah, one of these planes. Well, oh no, that's not the right one. You know what I mean? It's just so much easier just taking a quick look and bang. Like this box was easy because it's sparsely populated, right? The French one. But some of the ones like here over the Japanese box, it's just filled with units, right? And so it would take longer to find what you needed, you know, and especially if somebody was playing your game and they didn't put it back in the right spot, or maybe I didn't put it back in the right spot. Again, this one doesn't have many pieces in, so it's easy to find. I used some of the German Leipzig light cruisers here. I painted them up brown. And then put the little green bits on them. So they have light cruisers. Like these guys here, the Russians don't have light cruisers. But I would never buy a Russian light cruiser either, right? Same as I would never buy a heavy battleship for them, so there was no need for that. And then the last one over here is the German one. And Germany's got a really full box over here, right? So it's pretty easy to find anything in there. And then these are also painted red. These are... what are those? Warplan Z. Those are the printed units from Shapeways. So, like, their stats are not exactly the same. This is a battle cruiser, not a cruiser. So, it's a cruiser is 6 on attack and defense. One of these is 7 on attack and defense. So it's just a little bit stronger. So that's why it's painted red instead of yellow. And this here, this was a big necessity. These are the commanders. Before. Like we just lost them, right? Like your commander gets in here, your Russian commander is in here. You had to look around for them because they just blend right in, right? So I painted them gold, and I saw, hey, you know, I'm gonna paint this guy's helmet gold, see what it looks like. I can always wipe it off, but it turned out pretty good with the gold helmet as well. It's a little easier to see. See if I get the camera down a little bit lower. So there's the Russians, and there's the Allies, and then there's the Axis over here, right? But yeah, like I remember when I was packing my stuff up on Sunday morning before I came home from Rank Carcass's house, I counted up everything. Like I only took one thing off of the board at a time. Like I took all the oil war stuff off and all this and all that. When I took all the commanders off, I thought I was one short, but okay, whatever, I must be wrong because I looked forever, right? And so then I was taking other things off the board, the elite fighter squadrons and other things, right? And then when I was done, the last thing I was taking off the board, I seen a Russian commander where he wasn't supposed to be, right? But he blended right in. And so I was lucky to have gotten him, right? And so that's why I painted the bases on these gold. Like these stand out really well. And another thing about these commanders, like one of the things that wasn't in the rules, and I did talk to Doug about it yesterday, about the commander set. We had an issue where here, let me just move the camera up and I'll show you where it was. You can actually go back and see it if you want from my video where I invaded the cat house there. I believe it's part 3. So, let me see here. Germany had this territory here, right? And Russia had a bunch of, among other things, a bunch of tanks and stuff, and they attacked this territory. I don't want to change everything because this is an ongoing game, but where am I here? Okay, so we need a Russian commander and a German commander. So the Germans had a commander here, and the Russians had a commander here, and then the Russians had an overwhelming force. So they were able to take this territory. And what happens when your commander is the only person left in that territory? Like, he doesn't fight or anything, he just modifies everybody else's dice roll. So you roll the dice, and anything but a 12 means that he survives, right? If you roll a 12, then he comes off the board, and then you get to try to bring him back in the next round. Excuse me. So I rolled the dice, and you're supposed to do it right after the battle, not after the whole turn is over. So I rolled the dice, and he was fine, so I put him back here. And Rank's like, what do you mean? You know, because his commander's stuck right here now, and all his tanks and everything, he had tanks and mechs and everything, he wanted to blitz into there, but now he's blitzing without a commander, and I've got a commander back here that I didn't have before he started blitzing, right? And so, you know, like, who was right with her? I was right, because in the directions it did not say that, like, it said that you would do this, you would move your commander wherever you wanted within 4 spaces, and he was right in that it wasn't fair. So anyway, I talked to Doug, and Doug said, like, Will is the rules guy, he says there is something in there, not in the rules, but something that should have been in the rules, and that is that the guy could, the commander could blitz with blitzing units. And like, I encountered that earlier in the game as well, because it just seemed like your commander was always getting left behind, right? Because you're trying to advance forward as fast as possible, like you're moving, I was moving this way and he was moving this way, but your commander just kept getting left behind because you kept blitzing, right? That's a big thing in this game. And so it seemed like a flaw in the set. And so Doug was saying, yeah, sure, you know, he can blitz. But the other thing that I was suggesting is, you know, rather than him blitzing, like, these guys have already got their orders, the tanks and the mechs, and they want to blitz, and, you know, if there's planes going in there as well, right? They've already got their orders, that they were already with the commander. Why not just let them keep going and keep your commander here? But it doesn't really matter either way. Like, you can move the commander in there with the blitz to modify the units on the second phase of your blitz, right? Not just the first territory that you go to, and that makes it fair. It just it was a flaw in the set if you couldn't do that. So I just thought I'd let you know that. I thought I'd let you know that your commanders, it would be helpful if you did something. You know, put a little star on their base or paint their base like I did. Whatever, it works a lot better. And also that you can do that. You can blitz with your commander. But that's the only case. Like, you're not normally going to do 2 attacks with a commander, right? The other thing is, when I bring Carcass's house rules, and I had thought about it even the first day I looked at the game, was how come there isn't one of these complexes on there? Like, you have the large industrial complex, and you have the minor industrial complex, or sorry, major and minor, but you didn't have the regular sized ones, even though historical board gaming makes 3 sizes of complexes or factories. And so it seemed to me that you should have these as well, right? Because you can only put 1 unit on. Like, here, let's take a look at this one right here. You can only put 1 unit in here, right? And then you'd have to spend a whole bunch more money to get another one of these, just so you can put 1 more unit here. Now you can put 2, big deal, right? And you know, like here, down here in Calcutta, we've got 2 minor complexes, right? So it costed a lot of money to get 2 minor complexes in Calcutta, but still, the British can only put 2 units there. It just, it kind of restricts the flow of the game in Africa and in Asia, because you can't put major complexes anywhere but your home territory. And, you know, I agree with that and everything, but all your units get stuck over here then, because there's lots of major industrial complexes over here. There's none of them over here, right? And there's none of them down there. And so you're stuck building these tiny little minor complexes that you can put one thing on, and it's so restrictive. So anyway, these ones here, we're using, he used them, and I'm definitely putting them in my game because it made the game a much better game. So these will build 3 units. Now, the minor costs $10 or 10 IPP, and the major costs 20. So it's all logical, right? One of these would cost 15. You could turn in one of your minor complexes and $5 and get one of these. Instead of turning your minor complex and $10 in to get a major complex, you could just do that with $5 to get one of these. So that works out really well. And so when you're building them, what you would do, like say India doesn't start out with a complex, right? So you build a minor there it takes you 2 turns and it costs 10 IPP. So you put your minor down, and then the very next turn you pay an extra $5. But also on that turn, you could still put 1 unit on that complex because there's some minor there, but you wouldn't be able to build 3 there. So then when you build this complex, then the next turn, like it would be the 4th turn, I guess, and then you would be able to build 3 units on that complex. But it just works out better. Instead of building one of those for 3 turns, build a minor first, and then the next turn pay an extra 5 and build a medium complex. So yeah, absolutely, definitely putting that in my game. That was a good idea that Rank had, and I like the way he implemented it like that, where you pay the extra 5 and stuff. So what else have we got set up here? Okay, these guys down here. Let's talk battleships. One of the things that pissed me off, I tell you, was when I damaged 3 Japanese battleships. Like I came across the water. You get 3 there's 3 Japanese battleships down there. You start the game with 3 of them. So I took my whole navy over and I attacked the Americans right here. And I took them out quite easily. And I took 3 hits on my battleships, right? And then I sailed my battleships back to the shipyards there to repair them. I was rolling terrible that day. It costed me $26 to repair 3 battleships. That's ridiculous. It's I don't know, it just, like, it costs you 2 6-sided dice to repair 1 capital ship. So you might get away with rolling snake eyes and only having to pay $2, or you might roll boxcars and have to pay $12 to fix your capital ship, whether that's a carrier or whether it's a battleship, right? And I don't like that. Honestly, I just don't. Like, I could see making it smaller, like using 1 6-sided dice, or even if you want to make it more than that, use an 8-sided dice. You know, like, you could do that too. But I tell you what I like even better, something I thought about as I was driving home from there. It's like an 8-hour drive from Edmonton to Prince George. And I thought, you know what? Like, they've got all these numbers on here. Let's take a look at that. Oh, let me see if we can get that out of the glare. Here, I can turn it this way a bit. There we go. So you have your battleship here. Where is it? Oh, that's China. Let's not look at China. Let's find the American one. Nope, can't find it. Okay. Just give me 1 second here. I wanted to find one that had 2 different kinds of battleships on it here. So here we go. Here's the Japanese one. So you got your battleship here. Now, a regular battleship costs 5, 5, 5, and 5 to build, which means you got to put it on the chart over here, and it costs, you pay $5 to put it there, $5 to move it, $5 to move it, $5 to put it there, and it goes on the board that turn, right? But then you've got different battleships. Like here's your Yamato class, and that's a bigger battleship, and that costs 7, 6, 6, and 6. So what I think I might try doing, and I think it's a good idea, is use that first number. So if it's a regular battleship, the Japanese would have to pay $5 to repair it. And if it's the Yamato battleship, they would have to pay $7 to repair it. And then also, if you have improved shipyards, you're supposed to take $2 off the cost of a battleship, right? Well, if you have improved shipyards, it seems to me that it would be easier not just to build a battleship, but to repair it as well. But I mean, that's $2 off the whole cost of building a battleship. So maybe just take one IPP off the cost of that. So a damaged Yamato would cost 6 IPP to repair, and a damaged regular battleship would be 4. But you don't have to do that. Like I'm just thinking about that. It just seems to me that it would be more of an average. Like the reason they get you to do 2 6-sided dice is because the average roll would be a 6, right? And so it should average out like that. But that's just if you're doing average. Like you could do better, you could do worse, and there's no way to count on that. I've said it before in my videos, and I'll say it now again in this case here, that I like to take as much of the chance out of the game as I can and put in more strategy. And there's a lot to do with when you're taking casualties. Like, let's move this back over here. Let's take a look at these Americans down here. So let's say I take a hit. Well, depending on where I am on the board, do I take a hit on my battleship, or do I take a destroyer out? I mean, I don't know if I don't know how much it's going to cost me to repair my battleship, right? A lot of it depends on how far away I am from a shipyard. Maybe I want to take a sub instead of a battleship. But at the same time, the Iowa class battleship, a heavier battleship, is going to cost more to repair. So maybe I'm going to take the destroyer off. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole bunch of factors that go into your decision. And how are you supposed to know what to do if you don't know how much it's going to cost to repair your battleship? Now I realize that this is a game of chance, but that doesn't mean that everything you do has to be about chance. You can do some things that you know where there's some certainty, where it comes down to one player's skill versus another player's skill. Your ability to determine, given all the circumstances, which unit to lose and which unit to keep, right? And that's the way I like to do it. Because there is a lot of chance built into the game, and that's the way it should be, right? Like there should, every time you roll the dice to resolve combat, that's chance. So why have the whole game come out to chance instead of just part of it? I mean, that's one of the reasons why I play the Elite Fighter Squadrons the way I do, where I just throw all 15 of them on the board and say, here we go, let's have some fun, rather than roll the dice to see, you know, and pick them out of a cup to see which one you get. Because, you know, one guy could get 5 of his fighters, another guy might get 1, and it might be the crappy one, you know, because not all of them are the same, right? Some of them are more useful than others. Like one of them is a Japanese one. All it is an extra kamikaze strike. And even then you have to take out one of your own fighters to use for that kamikaze. So that one, you know, is not nearly as good as, say, the German Messerschmitt, or, you know, some of the other ones, the P-49 that the Americans get. Like that's 10 times the plane that you get. So by taking away some of that chance that some guy might get way more than another just because he's having a good day with dice, you know, it just seems to me a no-brainer, right? So I want to show you all the battleships here. So you get the black tips on them, and this you don't see it, but that's your Bismarck. And then the red tips, those are bigger ones. Like this is the H-37, or is it H-39? I think it's H-37. This is the H-44. This is the biggest battleship that you're going to find for the game. This is the Iowa class one that I got on Shapeways. Let me show you the Yamato. Where did I do with mine? Here's the Yamato. Like the H-40, the Yamato is just huge, but the H-44 is even bigger than that. Like you look at that, it's just slightly bigger, right? Now this one is $36 when you purchase it in the game, and it takes 4 hits to sink it. This one here, the Yamato, is let's see, 25, and it takes 3 hits to sink it. So I think the Yamato is probably the best bet. But the other reason why I wanted to show you these battleships right now, I'll just, before I finish here, like this one here was just, I think they're actually the same battleship, but different companies make it. And one turned out bigger, so I painted this one red, just so Italy could have a heavy battleship as well. And this is the Alsace battleship for the French. This is the Vanguard battleship for the British. So those are both more expensive battleships, and I just call them heavy battleships. Next year's version of the game will include heavy battleships and heavy carriers, and so I'm trying to get a jump on purchasing them. Plus, it's okay to throw them into the game now, right? And another thing I was able to purchase. This is a battle cruiser. This is the Dutch battle cruiser, and the reason I show you that is because here. Let me just grab something here. I want to show you something. Got to make myself some room first. Okay. The reason I'm showing you these right now is because of this. Right now at Historical Board Gaming, like you've probably been there, and you know where the sale bin is, right? You click on there, and I've clicked on View All. They've added a bunch of stuff on here. Like usually it ends here, right? But this is where, like, you can buy the 3D printed sets. Like here's that Dutch cruiser here. There's the H-44 battleship. Lots of stuff. There's the Thor. That's that big siege gun kind of thing. There's a float plane there. I think that's the Dutch one. Anyway, this one here, I ordered another one of these ones. That's the Russian seaplane. Anyway, there's a bunch of these units on here. Now, I talked to Doug about that yesterday. He's not going to be stocking a lot of these, and I don't know which ones he's going to stock and which ones he isn't going to stock. But a lot of these are only going to be available on Shapeways through their store, through Historical Board Gaming store. But you'll have to purchase them from Shapeways. He's still going to have some of them on here, but not all of them, right? Here, let's just click on that H-44. I just wanted to show you the stats on this one, in case you haven't looked at it. So yeah, like anyway, next year these things are going to be in there. So you look at the stats of this. It takes 6 turns to build one of these H-44s, right? Attack 10, defense 10. Takes 4 hits to sink. Shore bombardment of 6. So that's pretty good, right? Anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that right now a lot of these things are on sale. I bought a whole bunch of stuff this morning before I started making this video. So if you're looking for some of these units, a lot of them are in stock. They haven't been. I bought some of these too. I got these in my order that I received yesterday. I'm going to try them out, see what I think. They're damage control. So like you put one of these underneath your factories if it's got 3 damage, and the dial moves, and I don't know if I'll like it or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. Yes, these ones here. So those are on sale as well. But anyway, just so you know, all this stuff's on sale right now. So go check it out. But as far as this Dutch boat goes, now you start the game off with a bunch of Dutch units in the Dutch East Indies. And one of them is a cruiser. So you would replace this with the Dutch cruiser. And its stats, like I've painted it red like that too, right? Because its stats are +1, I believe, like +1 attack and defense. It's a battle cruiser, not just a cruiser. So that'll give the Dutch a little better defense against the Japanese. The Japanese will still wipe them out if they want, but it gives them a little bit better chance at it anyway. So let me just take some of this stuff off the board, and I'll show you. I haven't played any of this game here since before my holiday, so nothing should have moved except for painting the units. I just wanted to show you what the painted units look like on the board, why I did that. So like here, I could look from way across the board, like I could be on the other side of the board at the Europe end, and you could just look down here, you can see white units, so you know that those are going to be transports. Here's a destroyer down here, you know, different colored planes, so I know what they are. The battleships, and like I said, the cruisers didn't need to be painted the carriers, because carriers are pretty obvious what they are, right? Here's the cruisers down here, a couple of yellow ones. So anyway, I think it looks great. The only thing I haven't done is I wasn't sure, like there's a coastal sub and here's the torpedo boat destroyers right here. I thought that they were obvious as well, but then I was thinking, maybe that's just obvious to me, right? I wonder what somebody else might think, what if they came to play the game here. So if I do paint these a different color, I think I'll paint them both the same color, just the tips of them, of course. Just paint them gray, because you could misconstrue this sub for one of the regular subs, right? Like here's a regular sub over here. I mean, to me that's obvious which one is which, but if you're playing the game for the first time, it might not be so obvious. So just put a little gray dab on either end of those things. I figured gray, since they're left over from World War I, so they're old and gray, right? So gray seemed to be a natural color. And then we move over, and so there's the Mediterranean, and you can see the different color boats in there, and you can see the different color planes and boats up in the Atlantic up there and in Europe. Like for instance, that white plane up there for the Germans, that one looks, the two sculpts that I had, they both almost looked exactly the same. They're same as the strategic bomber, and so it really helps to differentiate that, you know, like here, oh, that guy's got a transport plane here. I better count up how many spaces he can fly and drop an airborne guy, right? Because I mean, he drops an airborne guy on Berlin, you don't have anybody on Berlin, it's game over, really, right? Because then all of the German units come off the board if you lose Berlin, right? That's what your surrender conditions are for the Germans. And so that's something that you got to be mindful of. And another good reason why they're painted like that. Anyway, there's the one technological piece that we've got on the board at this point. Like the game is, where are we here? In 1940. So we're just getting into the technology now, right? Just one turn ago. So things will start changing in this game. After that, I don't know if we're going to play this weekend, maybe next weekend, I'm not certain, but it'll move along, and I'll be glad to get this game over with and start a new one, you know, with new rules and everything that I've been thinking about and that I played at Rank Carcass's house. So I think that's about all I got for you. So again, everybody down in LA, good luck to you down there, and don't forget about the sale at HBG right now. And yeah, that's it. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.